Okay, hello everyone. Today we will start practicing with the Snake game. So that's why we will create a new project, which is the Snake game practice. Okay, so here I will use the Android 4 as the minimum SDK to build my application. Okay, empty activity, finish. Okay, so this is our Snake application. So the first, what is the very important here is the way how to make our application right here. So the interface of this application will contain 16 radio button, which is already a little bit different compared to the previous case. Okay. So we are not going to use the radio button groups because we are kind of going to make quite many of that radio buttons. Okay. So like I will place my first radio button here. We will name it radio button 11. Okay, so and I will delete the text. Okay, so that will be our first radio button. Okay, so see that here that has the two single location connected to the different parts of our application. So it's uppercase and left border. So our radio button is already connected. So now if we will come back to the text of design, so we can see those two parameters, align pattern top, align pattern left. Okay, so up to now we will just ignore it and make another button. Okay, I can just simply copy paste that button like this. Okay, so now we can see, okay, we can name it radio button 1, 2, no text. So okay, so what we can see here, that two parameters fine. So the ID radio button 1, 2, align parent top true, and the more important is this, to write off radio button 1, 1. Okay, so that one we basically don't need. So in general, if I will delete that next one, so nothing will change. Okay, see now how can we do? I need two more radio button right here, so I will just simply copy this text and will paste it here. Okay, so we will call our radio button 1, 3, and here, okay, see what's happened. This is our new radio button, third radio button, that should appear right here next to radio button 1, 2, which is actually displayed here. So our radio button 1, 2 was located like connected to the top part and right of radio button 1, 1, which is this radio button. Our radio button 1, 3 will be located again connected to the top and radio button 1, 2. So basically here I will just need to change to 1, 2, and we can see our radio button now is the clone of the previous one with the different ID. Okay, so this is the way how can we make quite many different radio buttons in Android. We basically don't need to do it through the design part, which is quite difficult sometimes if you do have many radio buttons. So if here I will change to like 1, 4, this is our new radio button, and here is that radio button connected right off of the radio button 1, 3. Okay, so now next radio button that's supposed to be located right here. Okay, so I can do this. We'll place my radio button manually. So now we can see that radio button connected to the left portion, and to that radio button 1 1. Okay, I will call this radio button to 1. So here no text. Okay, now let's come back to our text and see. This is our radio button. Stop. Y11. Radio button to 1. Radio button to 1. Okay, yeah, radio button to 1. So now see what we can see below radio button 1 1. Okay, now radio button 2 1 below radio button 1 1, and that parameter pattern left is here, so it is connected to the left path and to the radio button 1 1. Okay, now if I want to connect my button right here, so what I can do, I will copy this text. Okay, so here it's supposed to be my radio button 2 2, that's supposed to be located right here. So I will delete those left parameter because my second radio button will not be connected to that kind of left side. So, but I know that my radio button will be connected to the right from radio button to 1. We can delete this also. Okay, so this is our radio button 2 2. This radio button is connected to the radio button 2 1, like through the to right off layout, to right off, and connected to the radio button. Okay, so below actually. So it basically doesn't really matter below 1 1 or 1 2, but it's better to always write the correct radio button 1 2. It's located below to the radio button 1 2. So now we can see through that arrows that okay, now radio buttons, they are well connected each other. Okay, now it will be very easy to make other radio button. Okay, so I will just simply copy it here, name it like radio button 2 3. So here will be below 1 3 and right off 2 2. Okay, so on we can connect all of our other radio button. So I will do it manually. I will just show you. Okay, so I already built 16 radio buttons. Okay, so all of them properly set up using the different ID and location in between each other. Okay, so if you do have quite many different objects in the application, this is the very natural way how to process such kind of things. Okay, now we need 4 buttons. Okay, so the 4 buttons. Buttons I will place right here. So button, as long as we are going to move our radio button like left, right, up, down. So here I will create the button like left, button right, and so on. Okay, text is left. So, and don't forget the click property, click left. Okay, so now like radio button, button right, click right. Okay, so I will add few other buttons similar. Okay, so here we have 4 buttons, up, left, right, down. Okay, and we will need one more button right here. I will call button new game. Okay, so we will need the button which will start some kind of our movement one more time. Okay, so here the new game, click new game. Okay, now that's done. So our application ready to be installed. So I will execute my application. Okay, so those applications supposed to be installed on my mobile phone. Okay. So this is my application. Okay, something wrong. Okay, anyway, so we can fix it later. So the more important part is like how to code all of our radio buttons, collect them into the groups. So that groups has been explained before in the first part, where we just like try to change those all radio buttons. Okay, we will have to come back here. Okay, and start doing our create the groups of different items. Okay, so here how to do that? I will need to use the private radio button. So as long as we are going to have a set of radio button, okay, I am going to use this like new radio button. So in our case we do have 4x4 size. Okay, so that radio button group now will identify the set of radio button which called the R button. Okay, so now we can initiate that set of radio button right here. Okay, so radio button like R00. Okay, so that is our radio button. Now we will use command find ID R ID. Okay, so in here we're supposed to place our first radio button R11. Okay, so those kind of differences in between R00 R11 is necessary because so the later we will have to place our radio button into the radio button matrix. And for example, how does the radio button matrix looks like? So we already have R button, which is the array. And that's supposed to contain our 16 radio buttons. For example, radio button in the position 00, this is our R00. So just in order to avoid any mistakes, so that's better to call those radio buttons same. Actually, the similar, it is possible like to change that name. So, but I keep it as 11 for now. So, like let's use the same notation what we had in the previous program. Okay, now we do have 16 radio buttons, so I can just like copy paste here and do such kind of things. Okay, so the radio button 01, this is our next radio button with the index 1 2. So the location of this radio button will be like this. So here the coordinate will be 1 and our radio button 1. Okay, see, now they all connected. Once again I will stop and will fulfill the all other. Okay, so I basically finish creating those kind of radio buttons. Now they all belong to the same set of radio buttons, R buttons. Okay, so now we can control our radio buttons using that matrix R buttons. Okay, so now what is the point right here? So basically we do have a snake game, so I will again display that game right here. Okay, so this is our like snake game, what you're supposed to implement. So in our case we do have only 4x4 version of the same application. So we create like keypad, up, right, left, down, and the button clear. That is fine. Okay, see what's happening here. When we click the button right, down, left, or up, so our snake is actually moving. So in this particular application, so the snake will contains only one radio button. So those 5 button snake you will have to implement by yourself. I will just show you how to create so the 1 button snake. Okay, so right here, what we have? So if we will come back, snake game practice. So we do have like 4x4 radio buttons. Okay, basically as default our first radio buttons should be always on in order to move that kind of radio button through that 4x4 matrix. Okay, so here there is the one important notice. See that if we will come back to the snake display, like snake game, so here where is the point? If I will reach the border, so it's show me the impossible. Okay, so those kind of impossible strategy also has to be implemented right here. So I will use some kind of the map idea in order to implement such kind of things. Okay, so how does this map looks like? So the map, this is the Boolean matrix, like map, new Boolean. Okay, so and see that here we do have 4x4 matrix, but in our case the 4x4 may not be a good path. So why? Because we're supposed to have the border. So in order to implement the borders, we are going to use 6x6 matrix. Okay. So and like the way how I will want to implement it will be a little bit different. So instead of using this command new, so I will just use the brackets. Okay, so the first okay, let me create it first. After that I will explain why it is here. Okay, I supposed to have 6 values. Okay, let me first create it and later I will come back. Okay, so our Boolean map is the matrix 6x6. Okay, so first line is all true. Okay, basically those true values now they present the border of our application. See that those false inside. This is our 4x4 matrix, 4x4 radio buttons, what is displayed right here. So by using that kind of matrix, now we can easily control the borders. So for example, when I will move my radio button inside of that map, so once that our radio button want to leave that kind of border, so that will automatically turn those value to true. So if it is true, means that okay, we are going to go out of the map, and this is the signal like to stop that kind of movement. So the idea behind how to use that kind of map we will implement by playing with the different functions connected to our buttons. Move to left, right, or down. Okay, so the first what's supposed to happen right here, we will have to place our initial radio button in the screen. Okay, in our case, in that particular application, those false will means that my radio button will exist somewhere right here. And for example, if I will change the first of that number to true, means that we are going to create our first starting radio button. Okay, so I will create that value true right here. So now see, why do I need it? Once again, if we are using the onCreate function right here, so that will create all of our necessary items for the application. So that's why we can see it in the screen. So, but we also need to see the first radio button, which will basically will be always enabled, and we can use the concept of the map in order to display this radio button. How to use it? So here I will need to have a loop. Okay, so in our case that will be 1. Was that 4? It was plus. Okay, so here will be another integer j equal 1, j less than 4, j plus plus. Okay. So now what will have to happen here? So the radio button, now the size of those radio button is the same as the size of my values implemented here. So that's why like I can simply place my radio button right here, E, G. Okay, so see that our radio button start from the value 0, 0. Means that the first value true, what is here, has the coordinate 1, 1. But here that coordinate is 0, 0. So means that we will have to change our values in this manner. Place it -1, -1. Okay? So here the set checked. Okay, and here I will need to decide do I need to what kind of radio button I will need to place right here. Is it true or false? That will depend on our map. So if I do have true, means that I am going to display that radio button right here. So means that if my map E G true, okay, so I am going to display my radio button. So here will be true. Okay, so here that's actually better to also implement else and place if we don't have anything in that map, so we will move it to false. Okay, so that will happen all the time when we will always when we are going to create our application. Okay, now let's see what will happen if I will try to execute it. Okay, see, the first radio button now is like checked. So the later will be quite easy, like to implement the movement around our application. Okay, so now let's create the basically 5 functions related to all of our buttons. Okay, now I will again freeze the application. Okay, so now there are 4 functions what we create for up, down, left, right. Okay, so here will be new game. So the function click new game. So now what's supposed to happen right here? So if I will click the button right, okay, so my radio button should move right here. Okay, so in order to implement that kind of movement, we will need to know the coordinate of this particular radio button. For example, when we initiated the first radio button, we will need to know where its location of this radio button. Okay, so that's why we will add 2 more values, like integer x equal 1 and integer y equal 1. Okay, so after that we will always know where is our x and y. We can, as long as we do have a snake, we can call it head x and head y. Okay, so now we will always know where is our head of our snake. In our case, this is just one single radio button. Okay, now when we are going to move right, the first what we will need to check, can I move right or I cannot move right? If, okay, my x map x head x head x head y. Okay, see, the head x head y is our coordinate. As long as I am moving right, okay, so this is my x will not change, but y will be changed by 1 position. Okay, so that's why the head y I will have to add +1. See what's happened. If this is true, so it means that something will have to happen right here. So see that in our case that all values is actually false. So if I want to move here, so that will become false. So we will have to use that kind of property. So basically what I can do, I can just simply set no. Okay, so if I do have false, I can go there. If I do have true, I cannot go there. Okay, so now if my value is false, if the map in that particular coordinate is false, so I basically can go right. How can we do that? I can use R button. Okay, so R button x head y head. See that, remember the x head and y and head x and head y is basically designed for the map. For the radio button we do have a different notation. So see that our first radio button in the map has the coordinate 1 1. This is true, but in reality this is the radio button 0 0, so we will have to use that kind of difference right here. So my X head will have to be -1. Okay, so see that X head is 1. 1 minus 1, that will be our radio button 0. But now what's happened with our head Y? Head Y is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So we are going to go right. So in our case we can just skip using the head Y. Okay, so in here we can see like set checked true. Okay, so that will mean that our radio button will move right. Okay, so now let's run it to see what kind of effect it will cause. Okay, so this is our application. I click right. See what's happened. My radio button move right, because here I implement like move the next radio button to the true. If I will click right one more time, okay, that's not working. Now it will crash. Okay, let me first fix it. Okay, so here the one thing what I forgot, when we move our like radio button right, so the coordinate of our head should also change. So if we are moving right, so means that the X coordinate will be same, but Y coordinate should be added by 1. Okay, now see if I will launch it again. Okay, now it's going right. So if I will click one more time, so it's not crashing, but it's actually not also not going. Why does it happen? Because right here, so that's first true, that was our first radio button, so what we used in order to like set up our like the first initial starting point. So we have moved here, 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 finally reach that true. So once that we reach that true means that we cannot go right anymore. So basically right here we can enable our notice path, which will tell us where we are going right now. Okay, so just let's do that. So we will need to have like text view, text view. Okay, so in that text view I can call it like notice, and in the beginning will be nothing. Okay, so now in my main activity I will create the object like private text view notice. Okay, so in the onCreate I will have to make it like notice text view find RID notice. Okay, so now I can use that notice. So here we moved right. Okay, so means that if we are going right and I can go right, like my notice set text, so here I can write go right. Okay, so now if I cannot go, so if like it is impossible to go, so I will make that notice impossible. Impossible. Okay. Okay, so right here, so our like notice bar should tell us where to go. Okay, see, in the beginning it's nothing, like I start going right, it's saying like, okay, I'm going right, impossible. So I already reached that particular point. See that we only implement the going right property, and that is not the snake what we want. It's actually trace the way what we go. So in our case, we supposed to move just one single radio button. So in that particular case, so what we actually can do, so the previous position of our radio button should be disabled. Okay, something like this. So, and that will means that our radio button is going, actually can place it here, that will, I think, looks better. Okay, so here we can say like check next radio button. So and here will be uncheck current radio button. Okay, so now if we will start it, okay, so this is our radio button. Okay, so now we can see our point is actually moving right here. Impossible. So the next coding will be quite easy to implement, so I will just implement that particular function to the left, up and down. Okay, I will again freeze it for a moment. Okay, so now let's finish that particular. Okay, so after implementing all of the changes, now we can like simply move our radio button. So right here we cannot move it, so we will have to solve that problem separately. Okay, but basically other cases fine. Okay, so now in order to solve that particular problem, what we basically implemented right here, so actually what is better to do, see that here that true elements right here is actually telling us that okay, our current position of the first radio button, those X, head X, head Y, showing the same component. So what's supposed to be happen? So when we are moving our radio button among that window, that component also should move accordingly. So that kind of component we also can use in order to prevent moving the radio button to the previous position what we basically moved before, because those kind of component here is actually telling us what is the current location of my radio button. So, and basically if I will use it, I cannot go back. Okay, so now like in order to do that, we can like simply move that component together with our radio button. So how to implement it? So right here, so we do have those kind of coordinate all the time. So look, let's start from mark. Okay. So, okay, so I will have to do it before modification. So it is here equal true. Okay, and the original one equal false. Okay, so now I will move my component, true component, which is actually present my current location of the radio button, like that will follow my current button. Okay, so now I can do the same like for other radio button. I will just need to modify the coordinate accordingly. So same here. So here that should be -1. Here y, and here +1. Okay, so if we will do that, basically we can finally move our application. Okay, we'll need to restart. Okay, so here is our application. So if I will move back, so now see it is possible. Okay, so now only the last what we need to implement is the click new game. So what's supposed to happen? So in general, so what we can do, we can copy this map . Copy this map and call it map init. Okay, so why do I need those kind of init map? Because I want to come back to the original conditions. Same I will do for my coordinate. So I will have two coordinates, my current head x, head y, and some kind of initial x and y what we will use later when I will click the button new game. So the new game will means that we are moving our map into the original conditions. So here, so our map will have to be same as the map init. Same I will have to do with my head. Okay, so that's why here we will have to actually do that kind of style. Okay, so here we will have 6. Okay, and inside my map ig will be equal map init. Okay, so that one I will cancel. Okay, and I will need that kind of loop again in order to place my radio button in the original conditions, actually the same as we did before. Okay, and one important moment, head x should become head x init. So here is y. Okay, so now when we will click the new game, so our application will come back to the original conditions. Okay, so now we will again move. Okay, so now if we will click game, okay, so here it doesn't want to come back. Okay, let me fix. Okay, so here the problem was so we're supposed to place the equal to that equation. So actually that creates our application like in the correct place. So now if I will move, so it's always come back to the original. Okay, so now it is ready. Okay, good luck.